It's true, you could buy a house just like this one I'm going to walk you through, but there are thousands of other homes just like this one all around the country. And it doesn't have anything to do with the house per se. I always tell people, if you want to purchase a house this way, I'm going to walk you through this house, but I'm also going to show you exactly what you need to do, how to get your credit score up, because you got to have a 620 or higher credit score, and you have to have 2 years on your job. So if you have a goal of purchasing a house and you don't have a whole lot of cash to put down, this is probably your best option. Now, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. My name's Wayne Turner. For nearly 30 years, I've bought, flipped, built, done thousands of real estate transactions and helped thousands of people. And I only share that with you so you can have the confidence knowing that the information that you learn from me watching these videos is from actual decades of real life experience. So let's jump in. Now, there are homes just like this one I'm walking you through. You can find them at findmyforeclosure.com. That's a website. You have to pay to have access to the address and all the information, but it will give you access to these properties. I'm walking you through one right now, 1,250 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2 full bath. You can see it's got vaulted ceilings. This house is $154,900. If you put $1,000 down, the seller oftentimes can pay your closing costs. Not all banks will, but if a bank will pay your closing cost, a builder will pay your closing cost, a homeowner will pay your closing cost, then these types of loans, they're called USDA, will allow you to purchase a house just like this one for $1,000. And quite simply, it works like this. You have to have a 620 or higher credit score. You have to have 2 years on the job showing proof of income. They're going to look at your debt to income ratio, how much money you have coming in, how much is going out. And I mentioned to you that I want to show you how to increase your credit score. Bottom line is, you want to make sure that anything that you owe as far as a credit card, you have a 30% or less balance. So for example, if they say you have a $1,000 credit limit, right? Then you need to get that balance below $300 that you owe that bank. But look, I did say it doesn't have much to do with the house, but you have to know this, the house has to be habitable. So it doesn't have to be a foreclosure. It can be a single family home that's owned by an individual. It can be brand new construction. And a lot of people's question is, well, Wayne, where's the limit? What is the income limit? Or what's the maximum house? There's no maximum value of the house. Most of these types of loans through United States Department of Agriculture, they're underwritten by the same guidelines as FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, which HUD owns and operates. Bottom line is, these houses, like this one, it has to be in good shape because they don't want to loan you money on a home where you have to do work. And look, the reason for that is they want to make sure that the money that you have coming in is going to go towards the mortgage payment and not have to do a lot of fix-up. But you also have to know this, it's really important, that it's not cosmetic. It's like if you need to put in some new carpet or some paint, as long as it has an oven or stove and heat and air where you can basically be warm in the winter and cool in the summer, you can get these types of loans on these homes. Now, another question that people ask, and it's a great question, is, Wayne, what's the payment going to run? If it's a $154,900 house and I only put $1,000 down. Well, right now, the interest rates on that are going to run you around 7.5%. So it's pretty much the same rate that anyone would get if you put down, say, 3.5% on an FHA loan. And when you purchase a house right now, and you have to know that you got to pay private mortgage insurance, you have to pay taxes on the property, and what they do is they escrow all that on a monthly basis. And the reason for that is because a tax foreclosure takes precedence over a bank foreclosure. So the banks, the mortgage company, if you will, they do not want your house to foreclose. They don't want to take it back. They don't want to lose it, if you will, because they want to make sure your taxes are paid. So they escrow that money. So yes, $154,000 900 home with $1,000 down is going to run you about $1,500 a month. That includes your principal and interest, your private mortgage insurance, your taxes, absolutely everything out the door. Now, getting your credit right and getting approved is the first thing you'll want to do. The last thing you'll want to do is to go look at a house, get your hopes up, make an offer on a home, and then the bank rejects your offer. Most homeowners nowadays and builders, they will reject your offer if you don't have some sort of an approval letter, because once you have an approval letter from a lending institution, whether it be a credit union, your local bank, or a mortgage brokerage company, they're going to give you an approval letter, and that approval letter is just like having cash. You're going to present that with any and all offers that you make on any single home, because once you make an offer and they see your approval letter, they realize you're going to get a loan for that house and they're going to get cash at closing. Now what's really cool is they're gonna get cash, but you're gonna get the keys, and that's pretty cool, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. And listen, I remember purchasing my first house, I was nervous as a cat because I thought, man, I gotta pay mortgage payment, now I'm locked in, I'm not gonna be able to sell this property, and you know, all this crazy, am I gonna be able to keep my job? All this crazy stuff goes through. But you just have to know, one of the most important things in life we have to have is shelter. We have to have food, clothing, water, we have to have shelter. Most people, this is the American dream, to be able to own a home, to have something. And listen, the benefit to that is this. My first house, I paid $79,500 for it. I sold it 5 years later for $105,000. I got paid money. So when you look at what I paid, $720 a month, less the $25,000 that I made, I actually paid less than $310 a month, $320 a month to live in that house. I just got a lump sum check after 5 years, and that's pretty cool. But I'm sure I don't have to convince you of that or tell you why you should buy a house. That's why you're watching this video, to open up an opportunity to purchase a house. But you have to also know this, when you purchase a home like this, they're selling these houses to you as is, where is, if they're a foreclosure. And many states, like the state of Louisiana, for example, you can do your due diligence. You can do anything. You can have it inspected, looked at, you can have your uncle look at it, have it professionally inspected, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, once you close on it, you're basically saying you're buying it as is. Well, that as is term can be a little confusing, because when you purchase a bank-owned house, it says as is. You can still have this home inspected, any foreclosure inspected, but that doesn't mean they're going to fix anything. And 99% of the time, banks are not going to fix anything. But you know, that doesn't mean you can't get a good deal, because you can get an excellent buy on a house, especially if you're willing to get a little dirty and do a little cosmetic work. Most of these homes just need that, a little cosmetic work. I'll walk you around so you can see a couple of things, but I'm also going to show you a couple of items that I've noticed in this house to look out for that can cost you a lot of money and can be absolutely horrible for your health. Now this house needs a good bath. It needs a good cleaning, it needs some coats of paint, but I noticed something over here on the wall. And listen, it may not be anything, but when you do an inspection, it's a good idea to do a mold inspection, because oftentimes when you see anything such as this, a little bit of black there, I don't know if there has been a leak, and you don't know how long this home has been vacant. That's why it's always important to get out and talk to the neighbors and say, hey, who lived here? What's the story of the house? How long have they been gone? How long has the house been empty? You can get a great deal, and that may be absolutely nothing, but that's the kind of stuff that you need to look for, and that's the kind of stuff that a home inspector will look for, to look out for your best interest. And if anything like that were to pop up, they're going to say, hey, you may want to take that a step further and actually have that tested by a mold professional. They'll come in, they have moisture meters, they set up these little boxes in the room, they close all the doors, and they basically can tell you, yeah, there's definitely moisture in the wall, or no, that's fine, it's cosmetics just on the outside. And that way you know, okay, I want to move forward with the purchase of that house, or no, I need to cancel the contract. Now, a couple other things as I'm walking you through this house, like here's a little spot on the wall. And oftentimes people ask me, Wayne, how does the bank know? Well, they're going to have it appraised, because they want to make sure they're not over lending on the home, and they want to make sure you're not overspending. So they're going to send out an appraiser, and the appraiser is basically going to pull 3 comparable sales as closest to the home that you're buying within a 3-mile radius that have sold in the last 6 months. And they're going to go through the house that you're looking to purchase. And they're going to look for anything that's broken and not working to its intended function. So if they start seeing holes kicked in the walls everywhere, they're supposed to flag that and say, hey, this needs to be fixed. Now, as I mentioned, the bank won't fix it. So it's a good rule of thumb to educate yourself, to look at these houses, to know, okay, this house I can't get an FHA loan. I can't get a VA loan. I can't get a USDA loan, but you can get a conventional loan. And that's important to know, that a conventional loan, you don't need 20% down. You can actually buy a home with a conventional loan, and you only need 5% down. And then many times the seller, whether it be the bank, the builder, or just a homeowner, will pay all of your closing costs. And when they do that, then you can purchase a house like this one, and you only need 5% to put down. Now look, that can be a good thing, because when you put 5% down, it's going to make your payment a little bit lower. Also, when you put 5% down, you're not going to have to worry about all the stringent inspections, if you will, from appraisals. You also have to consider this too. If you put 5% down, you're not getting an FHA loan. So once you have 20% equity in the property, in other words, what you paid for it and what it's worth into the future, that may be 6 months, that may be a year. So you can purchase houses like this one. You 5% to put down. So if you bought a $200,000 house, you got 5% to put down. You're going to need $10,000. If you got $10,000, 620 or higher credit scores, I mentioned 2 years on the job, you can purchase a house like this. But here's how people get ahead in life. Here's how people gain equity fast. They'll purchase a house like this that needs fixing up, and they'll go through and paint everything, put new door hobs, paint the cabinets, put new appliances. They'll make it look like a brand new house, and then they'll buy it for say 140, 145, and they'll turn around and it's worth 180, 190. Then they can do a refinance, get the private mortgage insurance taken off, which will then lower your payment, or use the property as an investment property, never sell it, 30 years, do that 5 or 6 times, you're worth $1 million. Or you may just want to do it one time, and that way you own this house. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, you never own the house because you got to pay taxes. I get it, you got to pay property taxes. But if you purchase a house like this, for example, and your property taxes are $1,500 a year, and your insurance is another $1,500 a year, that's $3,000 a year. If you're making $25,000 a year, you can swing $3,000 a year on taxes and insurance. And look, if you're paying $3,000, $6,000, $9,000, $12,000 a year, you're paying $300, $600, $900, $1,500 a month. It's probably cheaper than rent right now if you go to rent somewhere. And that's why the advantage is to have a home, to live in a home, and to pay for a home. And I know this sounds crazy because I am in real estate. I invest in real estate. I've always loved real estate. And I always tell people, buy and hold when you can. If it's your first house, you may want to question selling it. If you don't have to sell that house, hang on to it. That house that I was telling you about that I bought my first home 31 years ago, I wish I still had that home, because that $79,500 amount that I paid for that house 31 years ago, that home today is worth $250,000. And look, that's why people buy real estate. That's why wealthy people buy real estate. That's why some of the wealthiest people on the planet own lots of real estate and own lots of land, because at the end of the day, they're not making any more of it. And that's going up in value. And a lot of people will argue and say, oh, it dropped in value, it's going up in value. Well, if you look back 30 years, what anybody paid for a house 30 years ago and what that house is worth today, it's more, substantially more, almost double more. So if you've learned anything from this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I promise you'll learn something new on every episode.